Hey, Smarty fans, student loans are in the news again because of the Supreme Court student loan case. But there's a lot going on with student loans right now that if you have student loans, you really need to be aware of. Like there's a new student loan legislation that could help you save for retirement by paying your student loans. You could get a refund for any payments you've made over the past couple years, and student loan payments will be starting up again, but when is still in question. So watch this quick video through to the end to hear about really important things you need to know about federal student loans. My name is Kate Moody, your money librarian, here to help people making decent money but still stressed about cash take control over their finances. Okay, so student loans are in the news again. I know, I'm pretty sick of it too. I would rather be ranking my favorite Last of Us episodes or just talking about Pedro Pascal, but that's not what people want to hear me yak about, so let's get to it. Number one, the Student Loan Supreme Court case. If you remember last fall, there was $10,000 of forgiveness for all student loans or $20,000 if you got Pell Grants when you were in school and make less than $125,000 or $250,000 if married. Then the fit hit the shan, so to speak, and that got locked up in the court system, so nobody's getting that relief. Last week, the Supreme Court started hearing the $10,000, $20,000 student loan forgiveness case. They're going to decide if what the president did is legal. So the fate of that $10,000, $20,000 student loan forgiveness is up for grabs. We are not going to know what they decide until the summer, most likely. So as of right now, any news you hear concerning it is purely speculative. Since we won't know that for a few months, well, what do you need to know right now? I mean, first off, right now, you just need to know that I have a student loan forgiveness cheat sheet that outlines 13 different federal student loan forgiveness programs. Check it out, link in the description. But other than that, number two, there is now a way to save for retirement by paying off your student loans. Because the thing about having student loans is that if you're paying them off, you don't have the money to save for things that are really important, like retirement. That has changed. Beginning in 2024, the Secure Act 2.0 allows employers to match the amount an employee pays towards their eligible loans with a tax advantage contribution to their 401k or 403b. All right, and I can hear you guys like right now being like, okay, cute, Kate, this time in English. Fair. All right. That means if you pay, for example, like if you have a $500 payment towards your student loans under this new legislation, and if your employer agrees, they could put $500 towards your 401k, 403b because you put $500 towards your student loans. So if you're in negotiations with a new employer, or if you're in a position to renegotiate your own contract with your current employer, talk to them about this. It's an incredible benefit. Again, it starts in 2024. You need to have eligible federal student loans, and your employer also needs to offer this as a benefit. But now they can offer it as a benefit, whereas before they were not able to. Number three, if your student loan payments have been paused since COVID, you will need to start paying them back this year. The issue is when. So here's where it gets a bit murky. If you had federal student loans held by the Department of Education and you didn't have to pay on them during COVID because it was part of the COVID payment pause, no interest accrued. But that is going to end, and when it ends depends on that Supreme Court student loan case. So from the Department of Education, the student loan payment pause is extended until the U.S. Department of Education is permitted to implement the debt relief program or the litigation is resolved. Payments will start 60 days later. If the debt relief program has not been implemented and the litigation has not been resolved by June 30th, 2023, payments will resume 60 days after that. So we know that payments will definitely be due by the end of August, but they could be due earlier. Whenever the Supreme Court makes their actual ruling, your payment is going to be due 60 days after that. But at absolute latest, it's going to be 60 days after June 30th, 2023, so the end of August. So you may be wondering, well, if my payment is on hold, should I be paying it down now? And that's a great question. If you watch my channel, you probably know what I'm going to say here. Personal finance is personal. Whether you should be paying off your loans during the pause depends on a lot of factors, not least of which is how much this debt relief is keeping you up at night, and if you're going to be eligible for public service loan forgiveness, otherwise known as PSLF. I have a lot of videos on PSLF, so watch them if you get a chance. If you're going to be going for PSLF, it doesn't really make sense for you to pay down your loans right now, since the $0 payments actually do count towards your months for public service loan forgiveness as long as you meet the other requirements. And it's not like if you pay down the principal now, it's going to make your payments any lower. So there's not really any reason, if you're going for public service loan forgiveness, to pay down these loans. In fact, what's probably best for you, again, if you're going for PSLF, is to pay nothing right now. Then when payments start back up, to get on an income-driven repayment plan that has the lowest monthly payment for you. This is because if your loans are going to get forgiven in 10 years, why spend a cent more on your payments than you have to? And again, this is if your loans have been in a payment pause. Don't just stop paying on your loans if they weren't part of the payment pause, because then you'll be in default, and that's bad. If you are going for public service loan forgiveness, to have these $0 payments count towards your 120 qualifying payments, you have to have direct loans in good standing, be working for a qualifying employer full-time. I strongly recommend calling either the Department of Education or your student loan servicer to find out exactly what you need to do to make sure all your ducks are in a row for public service loan forgiveness. You don't want to apply for it a few years down the line and find out that you messed up now, like you didn't send in a form, and now it's just going to be this whole big rigmarole. If you have been making payments during this pause when you didn't need to and are going for public service loan forgiveness, you can get your money reimbursed, and those months should qualify for public service loan forgiveness. Call your student loan servicer, ask to be reimbursed for the payments you made during the COVID payment pause. But because personal finance is personal, always get confirmation from them that the months you're being reimbursed for will qualify for public service loan forgiveness, and ask what you need to do right now to qualify for PSLF, like getting on an income-driven student loan repayment plan and putting in your yearly application through the help tool. I'll put a link in the description. If you aren't going for PSLF, however, any payment you make to your COVID pause loans will all go to the principal, so you can pay it down way faster right now. But the thing is, the interest rate on your student loans is far lower than the average returns from the market. If you're looking at pure math, most likely you would have far more money when you go to retire if you put that payment towards a retirement account. However, past returns are not a guarantee of future results, so nobody knows the future. Also, if you have high interest debt, like credit card debt, you are probably much, much, much better served paying off that credit card debt, getting rid of that before you take a look at your student loan debt, because the interest is so much higher on credit cards. And those are actually accruing interest, unlike your COVID paused federal student loans. All that said, every person has varying pulls on their money. You may be looking at moving, starting a family, divorce, switching jobs. You may or may not have an emergency fund. So again, personal finance is personal, and what's best for you can only be determined if you speak with a finance professional. What I can say is, if you aren't making any payments to your COVID paused federal student loans, because the interest is also paused, you shouldn't be worse for wear. It will just be the same. It's just that you had a couple years that you didn't have to pay them. Okay, that was a lot. Let me know if this was helpful or what questions you have below. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. Cheers, guys.